We're live.
Okay, we're live.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I call this audio-video conference regular board meeting of the HCIZ trustees to order. And in accordance to the governor's continued suspension of audio-video meetings, this will be, to in-person meetings, this will be an audio-video conference meeting. We do have a quorum, and we'll move on to a moment of silence.
In the name of all for time.
Thank you. Now we'll move on to the Pledge of Allegiance,
Mrs. Court.
led by Mrs. Cortan, Veronica Cortan.
Mr. President, trustees, administration, and audience, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Ms. Cortan. Next, we'll move on to the approval of minutes. Item 2A, the June 9th, 2020 regular board meeting. What is the pleasure of the board?
Move approval of the regular board meeting minutes for June 9th as presented.
We have a motion by Dr. Pettis,
Second.
second by Mr. Greg Powers. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
I can't communicate.
Next we have the June 25th, 2020 public hearing.
Mr. President?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you mind, I believe we can hear Jerry, but I think she's having trouble communicating. Can someone help her out, please?
Jerry, can you hear us?
Jerry, you're on mute, I believe, Jerry, but we heard you for just a little bit. So I don't know if you're having problems. Maybe Shane can help you offline.
Where's Shane?
You should be unmuted, Mrs. Fleury.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay, can you see me?
No.
Okay, well,
I'm on the cell phone for the first time because the computer is not responding. And so if it's possible for you, Veronica, to resend the address. Oh, wait, maybe we have it.
And Ms. Fleury, as long as you can hear us and we can hear you, that's sufficient. We don't need video, but we can try that later. But I just want to make sure you can hear everything and we can hear you.
Thank you.
thank you, Ms. Fleury. Moving on to the June 25th, 2020 public hearing. Do I have a motion?
I move that we approve the minutes as submitted.
We have a motion by Mr. Powers,
Second the motion.
second by Dr. Muniz. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Moving on to item 2C, the June 25th, 2020 special board meeting minutes. Do I have a motion?
I move that we approve the minutes as
Approval of the
submitted.
June 24th, 2020 special board meeting minutes.
Okay, we have a motion by Dr. Reininger, second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Powers. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Next, we'll move on to public comments for agenda topics. Do we have any comments for agenda topics?
There are no public comments for agenda topics.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. Next, we'll move on to public comments, public audience for non-agenda topics. Do we have public audience for non-agenda topics, Ms. Brown?
We have one request for public audience for non-agenda topics. Ms. Maggie Inglet, HCISD teacher and TSTA NEA president, has submitted a request, and Mrs. Debbie Scoggin will be reading the letter on Ms. Inglet's behalf.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Scoggin. Let me, before you read that, read the rules here. Any person wishing to address the board during the period reserved for public comment at a board meeting must sign up and provide the information requested below to be heard. In accordance with District Policy B, D Local A total of 30 minutes will be allowed for public audience at each general board meeting. Only those persons on the list who sign up prior to the start of the meeting shall be allowed to speak to the board during the public audience portion of the meeting. Each participant will be limited to 3 minutes to make comments to the board. Delegations of more than 5 persons speaking on the same topic shall appoint 1 person to present their views before the board. Complaints and concerns for which other resolution channels are provided shall be directed through those channels. These complaints include complaints on the following subjects: employee and officer complaints, termination of employment, student complaints, removal to alternative education program, and expulsion. Public audience is not intended to advertise, promote, sell tickets, or collect funds for any non-school related purpose without prior approval of the superintendent or designee. See GKB local. Additionally, vendors or prospective vendors who are currently or prospectively engaging in the bidding or request for proposal process with the district are prohibited from speaking at public audience to the extent the presentation concerns a current or future bid and is a violation of the bid instructions. If the board president determines that a person has not attempted to resolve a matter administratively, the person shall be directed to the appropriate policy for attempted resolution before bringing the matter to the board. Complaints against specific students, employees, or offices of HCISD shall be heard in closed meeting as authorized by the Texas Government Code Title V, Section 551.074, 1 and 2, and 551.0.0821. If your topic concerns complaints against specific employees, students, or officers, please note this on the sign-up sheet. You must make your points on issue in constructive and courteous fashion pursuant to Robert's Rule of Orders. Ms. Coggin?
Thank you, Mr. Hines. I will now read the letter that was provided by Mrs. England. Good evening, President Jaimes, board members, Superintendent Dr. Cavazos, administration, and audience.
Hold on, Deb. Deb, hold on. Can we work on the audio? Okay, you want to start that over? Ms. Coggin? Go ahead, Ms. Coggin.
Okay. I'll go ahead and read the letter from Mrs. England. Good evening, President Jaimes, board members, Superintendent Dr. Cavazos, administration, and audience. I am Maggie Inglet, a pre-K classroom teacher of 4-year-olds in HCISD. I am also the president of the Harlingen TSTA NEA local, speaking on behalf of over 300 members that comprise this local. Many of these members are in their cars in the parking lot tonight sharing their concerns. First and foremost, we, the teachers and staff, look forward to and want to open our doors and welcome each and every student into our classrooms as we have done every year. But we want to do this only when it is safe for the students and all staff. Due to the lack of responsible decision-making by the Texas Governor and the Commissioner of Education, we understand school districts are being required to provide in-person instruction as well as offer remote education to those who choose to learn remotely for the 2021 school year. However, this still places a large number of students and school employees, teachers, support staff, custodians, cooks, bus drivers, etc., in an extremely high risk of getting infected with invisible and deadly COVID-19. If we, members of our communities, are being ordered to not have any gatherings with people outside our households in groups larger than 10, how is it going to be any different with students each coming from different households? Why risk everyone's life when the number of cases in our area continues to grow and we see no signs of decline? Our school environments should be safe, not deadly. We are calling upon you, our superintendent and school board, to place the health and safety of all students, staff, and community at the forefront by resolving to begin the school year with remote instruction, like Point Isabel, Laredo, and El Paso, until all health data in our area indicates we will all be safe to return. You obviously know that there is imminent danger since you are holding this board meeting virtually, and you are all responsible adults who know how to conduct yourselves and follow CDC guidelines for your safety. With your help, we are petitioning state and local authorities, governor, county judge, and other elected officials to help us by imposing state, local restrictions due to health risks involved. This is a critical time to speak up in unity. Thank you for your time and consideration to our request, and we look forward to working together to ensure the safety and well-being of all students and all employees. Respectfully, Maggie Inglet, President, Harlingen TSTA NEA.
Thank you, Ms. Scoggin.
Thank you.
Moving on to item 5, approval of the consent calendar. Do I have a motion?
Mr. President, I move that we approve
President,
the,
make a motion for approval?
We got a motion first by Mr. Powers. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. De Leon. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. We move on to item 6, matters relating to transformation and school support. Item 6A, Transformation Teaching and Learning Committee Report. Dr. Alicia Noyola.
Thank you, Mr. President, board members, Dr. Cavazos, senior administration, and audience. Last Tuesday night at our regularly scheduled Transforming Teaching and Learning Committee meeting, we had 2 topics or presentations that were brought forward, but both revolving around one topic, and that was our pathway to reopening schools this fall. As you all know, the work of reopening schools in the fall semester really began back in May. We closed our year in a very unique situation under a shelter-in-place order and operating within remote instruction. And so we knew that the pathway to reopening was first going to begin with the closing of our schools and ending the school year, proceeding through the summer programming, and then opening our schools this fall. We knew that the fall semester was going to be very different with a backdrop of COVID-19. Under the directives, as was shared earlier, there were directives that were brought forward from the state with regard to what type of programming would be available to students. The state did direct that we had to have face-to-face instruction in addition to offering remote learning for our students. And so throughout the summer, those were 2 big focuses for us. We knew that there were different questions, different protocols that would need to be established in both of those areas. So at Tuesday night's Transforming Teaching and Learning Committee meeting, we talked about those 2 aspects. One of those areas is obviously in the area of instruction. We did remote instruction for a month and a half, but we knew that now there would be an opportunity to further enhance that. And so at our meeting, we discussed several areas of the work that was happening with academic instruction, talked a little bit about the instructional reset that's currently happening to ensure that we are providing high quality instruction within the instructional reset. We have totally transformed what online teaching looks like. Not just online learning, but true online teaching. Our staff has been going through an enormous amount of professional development designed to create and carry through lessons that will really challenge our students, whether they are sitting face to face or whether they are sitting at home participating in online learning. We did have some conversations around what were some items that we needed to prepare for in light of having online instruction. We talked a little bit about connectivity and what will that look like for our students who are at home. Talked a little bit about how the state testing window would be changing. Talked a little bit about our calendar and how our calendar might be impacted in light of some of the adjustments that were going to be happening this fall. We were working through what a return to work would look like for our staff as they deliver the various pathways that we had available. We worked through 2 different pathways that were going to become available to our families that were choosing remote instruction. Talked about the delivery methods where there would be synchronous and asynchronous instruction, two words that are not always very familiar to our families, but delve into what does those mean so that our families were very much informed about what remote instruction would look like. And so a lot of that academic instruction was really designed to answer questions for those families that were choosing to participate in remote instruction. But just as critical, with the state mandate that we have face-to-face instruction, we knew that it was critical that if we were going to have students and staff in our schools, that we had the highest standards of safety for both our students and staff. And so a big portion of our conversation and discussion at our Transforming Teaching and Learning revolved around those health and safety protocols. Talked a lot about the key pieces that are coming forward from the CDC with regard to increased disinfection, the opportunity for students to have hand washing, the critical part the social distancing plays within the backdrop of COVID-19. So we spoke to what that would look like in our classrooms, the mask requirement, which is another critical piece of ensuring health and safety for our students and staff. Delve a little bit into what were some of those additional items that we were looking to implement within our opening of schools in the fall. Obviously, today there was an announcement at the county level that we would be moving into online instruction as we begin the fall semester. So prior to this order coming in, we had been spending quite a bit of time just looking at a number of scenarios. What were all of our options with regard to instruction? If we were going to have to offer face-to-face instruction, then what were some of our options as we tried to create the safest environment for our students? And so, you know, unfortunately, and I know that the state has tried to provide as much guidance as possible, but some of the most significant questions that we needed answers to came in as late as last week with regard to some expectations around that. One of the things that they did give us an opportunity to do was to stagger how we would bring back face-to-face instruction. And so that was one of those areas that we were working on scenarios with. If we had to do face-to-face instruction, then how could we do that responsibly and possibly look at bringing back students in a staggered fashion so that we could ensure that all of our protocols were in place to ensure that safety. The other piece that we were spending some time around was looking at whether we needed to delay the start of the school year. Right now, we're scheduled to start August 10th. And so in light of the order that has come in from the judge delaying or moving everyone to online instruction, we are evaluating what the impact of that is with regard to our start date and whether we need to look at a delayed start even on top of that. And so we're going to be spending quite a bit of time here really delving in and making sure that we make the best decision for all of our students and staff. The other item that we spent some time discussing was, what does the communication plan look like? There's been a lot of work. Key is keeping our families and staff informed of what direction we are moving with. Throughout this whole process, we were receiving a lot of feedback from different people in the organization and outside of the organization. We conducted surveys for our parents to get their thoughts around what were some of the critical things that they needed to know with regard to the fall reopening. Had conversations with our teachers of the year to get feedback from them, got feedback from a number of our local health authorities. And so all of that feedback really went into developing our pathway to reopening plan. But critical to that, once a plan is developed, is the communication phase. And so Shane Struphart conducted the second presentation where he shared with the board that communication plan, really highlighting all the various mediums that we use to communicate, whether that's social media, whether that's radio, whether that's TV ads, the Valley Morning Star. So there was a number of stories that have been done throughout those mediums that have been very successful for us. And so those are channels that we will continue to use as we communicate with our HCISD community. One of the things that he also shared with the board was what the plan looked like in terms of a timeline. What would be shared this month, these next few weeks, and then the week after that, and so forth. So obviously there's Communication is going to be critical in light of some of the recent orders that have come into play. And so we will continue to focus on that aspect. Any decisions and updates we continue to share with our staff. We did stand up a frequently asked questions page for all of our families so that they continue to be aware of the latest changes and updates that are happening. In addition, now that we've received a lot of the final guidance from the state, we also have started that communication plan with our staff. There was a lot of questions prior to that. Unfortunately, we did not have all of the information that we needed in order to be able to answer those questions. We are now at that point. And so one of the things that we also have stood up is a frequently asked questions page specifically for staff, so that they too know, two very different types of questions that come just because of where their focus is. And so we have a frequently asked page that's strictly for parents, and then we have one that's strictly for our staff, so that we can answer the questions that are pertinent to them and be able to share as much information so that they can continue to provide and do the work that they do for our students and our entire school district. Dr. Reiniger chairs our Transforming Teaching and Learning Committee, and so I will turn it over to her for any additional comments.
Thank you, Dr. Nayola. Dr. Cavazos, would you like to go first?
Sure, I'll go ahead and chime in here. A couple of things and a couple of points I want to make, and just to bring some clarity to the conversation we had at the Transforming Teaching and Learning Committee meeting.
Dr. Cavazos, we can barely hear you, sir. I don't know if we can change that.
Okay, so just want to make a couple of points regarding the Transforming Teaching and Learning Committee meeting. We discussed the pathways to reopening, and as all of you know, that we are dealing with a very complex issue and a rapidly changing issue, which is a pandemic. And it's not the same at every part of the state. And so as we work closely with our officials or at the local level and the state level, they're looking at it from a broad range, and we're looking at it specifically to our district. And so first, I want to thank each and every one of you for your advocacy and for you using your channels of communication and influence to make certain that at whatever point we can get some latitude to make some local decisions. We serve a very large population. We serve over 24,000 people in our buildings when we are at a traditional school year. And so every decision that we make impacts almost every household in Harlingen, including our staff and our teachers, our bus drivers, our custodians, cafeteria workers. A complex problem requires complex solutions, and it has to be adaptive. It can't be a solution that can change, that needs 20 days to change. It's got to be nimble and be adaptive. When we look at what we're doing, just last week, we were given the green light to go hybrid. That was something that informally we were petitioning the commissioner and petitioning people to make certain that we had more latitude. Today, the judge moved all school systems, including private schools, onto an online platform, which of course presents other challenges for those students that don't have internet services or connectivity that's dependable. Just got off a phone call with the commissioner, and he acknowledges that throughout the state, there is still a digital divide that is true and exists. And so when we talk about, the ever-changing landscape of this pandemic, and I want to remind us all that we are just at the beginning of this ever-changing situation. We could be looking at the best plan tomorrow, only to be adjusted for the next day. And so the two modes of communication that we stood up was a frequently asked question document that's online for staff, and then for parents, a dedicated email that people can send us questions. But we pride ourselves in responsible rollouts. Responsible rollouts means that we also have to account for every one of our HCISD families, staff, students, and of course the general community. When we look at the latest order from the judge, we realize that now we have to stand up that order up against our multiple plans that we have been working on. But that's not new. We're going to be doing that almost daily or weekly. And so I want to acknowledge the fact that we have gotten a lot of feedback. I want to celebrate the fact that the staff has been working day in and day out to stand up the most responsible school district. We recognize the safety concerns that are out there. We recognize that, we acknowledge them. We acknowledge that we're in an unprecedented times. And doing that, I can tell you that this is not the first challenge HCISD has had, and we're going to persevere, and we're going to be better for it. I have all the confidence in the world that we will continue to forge on, and if it's a delayed calendar, we will notify all constituents, just like we continue to notify. But we have to make certain that we look at all the implications of changing a school calendar. But I can tell you this, safety of our students and staff is a priority. And so that will guide our decisions and guide our next steps. We will continue to keep you abreast, but I wanted to pause for a minute to thank each and every one of you for the advocacy and the work you've done, using your connections and using your influence. I couldn't be prouder of all the things that you have done to help us influence where we are today and continue to influence that we do the very best for our students and our staff. Education is a cornerstone of our democracy, and we have to get it right. And safety is a priority. And within those two, as we look down the road, we'll continue to keep that as a goal and a focus and moving forward. The other thing that I get a lot of messages about, and I'm sure you do too, is do whatever you can, Dr. Cavazos, not to impact people's livelihood and their salaries, and make certain that we stay whole, and that's a priority for us as well. We want to do everything we can, and it's about keeping our enrollment and making certain that we serve everybody in a safe environment. Just like the teachers that Ms. Inglet and her people that she was representing in her public comment, all of those individuals are our employees, and we care about them, and we're going to make every one of them proud. We ask for their patience as we do responsible rollouts of next steps. But I can tell you this, that we will continue to get disrupted, just like we just did today. We pushed that information out pretty quickly. There were some districts that staff were calling me, what is this about? I didn't even know this was happening. And so we're doing everything we can to keep our people informed. And so I thank you, board members, for all your support and the continued work. I thank the team for continuing to vet these things out responsibly. And I thank Dr. Noyola for all her work in the pathways to reopening our school systems, because at one point we will get there. So thank you, Dr. Reiniger.
Thank you, Dr. Cavazos. So I will definitely be brief. I want to start off by saying that as chair of this committee, I think that we should rename it the Transforming and Transforming and Transforming Teaching and Learning Committee, because indeed that is what is happening. And I could not be more proud of the work that is happening within the district and across the district. And it was very clear from the report that Dr. Noyola and Mr. Strugart gave about the details that are being considered in everything that is coming out. I think that it's really important that our community understands that with every pathway that was and is being selected and determined, that in fact those are full lines of educational opportunity that are being developed that include safety and instruction and staffing and service delivery at every level for every pathway. So it is incredibly complex, and the amount of care that was and it will be and will be rolled out successfully starts at drop off to class seating, to transitioning between classes, to extracurricular, to pick up, to service, food, and every detail in between. It is absolutely amazing and absolutely complex. And, as we've said as a district, challenging times are times for innovation. And this district is rising to the occasion again. It is clear that going forward and in every pathway that mediocre is not enough. Just getting it out the door is not enough, that there is absolute attention to the excellence that it takes to do this. And so I wanted to just commend the leadership team, Dr. Nayola. I know you're shepherding a lot of this. Dr. Cavazos, obviously, the vision and the pulling of a lot of necessary people from across the district and across the community to make this happen. But the staff, the teachers, the community, really expressing support as we go forward. And then communicating this, Mr. Strubart is doing a really important job in trying to keep up with the various channels of communication and all that needs to be said so that it's clear and succinct for our community. So overall, my congratulations. Thank you for the work that's being done. I also wanted to thank the board members. A lot of time and energy went into this committee meeting and all of your very, very good questions. Believe me, we really care and we're all here to support the rollout. So thank you so much.
Thank you,
Madam
Dr.
Chair.
Reiniger. Does anybody have any comments?
Yeah, Mr. President?
Go ahead, Dr. Pettis.
Yeah, I wanted to commend our chair of the Perpetually Transforming Teaching and Learning Committee, doing a wonderful job, and I would definitely want to commend you for what you do in your day job as our public health expert on the board and everything you're doing with the universities, UT Health Houston, and of course School of Public Health and on UT RGV. I don't know, I know this board knows, but I don't know if the community knows how much this board is really involved behind the scenes in the leadership in this region, and how deeply involved our superintendent is in the leadership in this county and this region as well, with his fellow superintendents and leaders and in the House and Senate, et cetera. I can tell you that over this past weekend, I was involved with several discussions with Dr. Zerwas in the governor's office as I was helping the Cameron County Hospital CEOs communicate their staffing, resource needs, and of course plans for alternative care sites in this region because of the surge in infections and the bulging, of course, hospital admission rate that we're seeing in our 4 Cameron County hospitals. So as I was on the phone multiple times with Dr. Zerwas, with the governor's office and back and forth with Manny Vela and other CEOs, Dr. Cavazos' name was mentioned a couple of times. The school district was mentioned several times as being a leader in how we plan the work in terms of keeping staff and students safe. And so I hope the community knows how deeply involved Dr. Cavazos is behind the scenes. And so when the Cameron County Health Authority, Dr. James Castillo, issued this order today, it was no surprise by any of us because we knew this was coming since probably this weekend in terms of because of these discussions we're having. And so I think people kind of sometimes get impatient and stuff, and it's natural. Everybody's nervous right now. We're all nervous about what's going on. I hope that nervousness will translate into behaviors of safety, risk mitigation behaviors, as we all know, the wearing masks everywhere you go, and of course staying home and not gathering at all. I think any form of gathering is unsafe right now, and so I hope this nervousness translates into behaviors of safety, so that we can begin to stop the spread of this virus. And so I just wanted to commend you, Dr. Reininger, for what you do, and commend Dr. Cavazos for his excellent leadership. He's right. This is a moving target. This is a dynamic process. It's going to continue to evolve. But I know that our students and our staff will be safe when they start. And think about this. Right now, the cases are rising, so it makes sense what's happening. But when the cases drop down the road, with our options available from remote learning, that is totally remote or hybrid, and of course face-to-face when it's the right time. Think about this, if we use our last surveys that we had, only, probably less than 40% of the students will choose to come face-to-face, at least according to our last survey. So I know we can provide a safe environment in our schools when the cases are obviously at a much lower rate than what they are now. So I'm very confident that we can do this right. We already had a test trial run over the summer with our summer enrichment programs. And so, again, Dr. Cavazos, Dr. Noyola, just all your executive team, your leadership, you're just doing such a remarkable job. So continue to impress this board, and you continue to be the shining star in the Valley. So thank you, Doctor, and thanks, Mr. President, for your time.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Dr. Bettis. Anybody else have comments?
I have a couple of comments.
Go ahead, Mr.
Mr.
Leon.
President, I want to echo Dr. Reiniger and Dr. Pettis as well. Those are exactly my sentiments, and kind of piggybacking what Dr. Pettis said about patience. I totally agree, and I hope that the community, I hope that they have the confidence and faith in us that we are doing the best that we can. We're working diligently. Dr. Cavazos and his team is just working day and night. And I know that the students that are listening and teachers that are listening, and even if they're not listening, they want to know when they're going to start school. They want to know when they're going to go back, and so do we. We're working as hard as we can to get the answers. And so I just want everyone to know that we're sensitive. We hear the concerns of the community. We hear the concerns of the parents. We hear the concerns of the kids. We hear the concerns of the community itself. And just know that, like Dr. Cavazos said, and Dr. Pettis and Dr. Reiniger and even Dr. Noyola, our utmost responsibility is the safety of our children, the safety of the teachers, and the safety of all the support staff. So be patient with us in terms of exactly what the rollout is going to look like, because I can assure you that when the rollout does come out, it's going to come out where it's the best opportunity and the best benefit for everybody involved. So it's hard to be patient. It's hard to not have all the answers. It's frustrating to us as well. And like Dr. Cavazos said, we just got an order from the county judge hours ago. And so, like Dr. Reiniger said, maybe we should change that, the transforming to be transforming, because it's a moving goalpost, and it's going to continue to move every single day because this virus is not stable, this virus is not consistent, and this virus doesn't care about timelines. It's just going. So we just have to be very careful. But please, everyone, be patient, because I will promise you, our utmost responsibility and our number one priority is to ensure the safety of not only the children and not only the parents and not only the support staff, but everybody in the community. So again, thank you, Dr. Cavazos. Thank you, leadership team. Thank you, board members, for everything you do. It's a thankless job sometimes, but it's a job that we're taking very, very seriously. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. De Leon.
Mr. President, if I may,
Yes, sir, Dr. Ramirez.
just a real quick, yes, all the comments that have been said are appropriate. Absolutely, I agree with all of them. I just want to share a quick comment as well. And when we have storms like this, right? When we have difficult situations like this, typically we find the leaders will rise and leaders will fall. Leaders will rise and leaders will fall. We'll see the true colors in people. And I'll be the first to tell you that what an amazing job our leaders here. We have had such an amazing leadership from Dr. Cavazos and his senior team, Veronica Cortan, the list goes on. It's amazing to see this leadership, because it's so easy to look around at other districts and unfortunately, they're falling apart. The leadership here is amazing. I will tell you, and for those of you who are watching at home, from my point of view, my personal point of view, from day one as a school board member, we have always been here for the students and for our teachers. Number one, always, 100% of the time. Never have I seen an opportunity where it's been otherwise. It's still that way today. Amazing leadership is happening right here, right now in front of our eyes. And thank you, Dr. Cavazos. Thank you to your senior team. Thank you for all the hard work you guys are doing. People don't realize that you're working weekends, working overtime, phone calls, day and night. You guys are working so hard for our teachers, for our students, and I can't thank you enough. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Muñiz. I'll just, before moving on to the next item, I just want to reiterate something that Dr. Cavazos said there towards the end of his comments about our employees and caring for them and having the best interest in mind as you all make these decisions, as we all make these decisions moving forward. And you talk about the transforming, but the other word that sticks out of that committee name is the teaching, and you don't get the teaching without the teachers. So we saw a lot of them this afternoon. We heard them out there, and we understand the concerns they have, but I hope they are reassured, not just tonight, but as we move forward, that we indeed have their best interest in mind, along with our students and every other employee, from bus drivers to custodians, cafeteria workers. Everybody in this district matters and is very important to us. And like I said, I hope they are reassured by the fact that we literally pivoted at a moment's notice today when Dr. Castillo handed down that resolution and that order to move into remote learning, where the preparations have been done. It takes a lot of vision to anticipate different scenarios, and it really takes true leadership to anticipate the different scenarios. And I think that's what we have here in this district, and we're ready for any curveball they throw at us. Because this coronavirus, that's what it is. It's one giant curveball coming at us every day. And as many of us have said, it's an ever-changing situation, and I'm just I'm HEISD proud right now of everything that we've represented and the way we represented this community. So thank you, Dr. Reininger, for sharing the committee, Dr. Niola, for your work, and everybody else as we continue to move forward. Let's see what tomorrow brings, and maybe we'll transform again. But with that said, we'll move on to item number 7, matters related to curriculum and instruction. Item 7A, consideration and possible action regarding the resolution adopted on March 20th, 2020, and adoption of resolution authorizing superintendent to act on behalf of the board related to COVID-19 issues for the 2020-21 school year. Dr. Cavazos.
Mr. President, board members, senior team, audience, and those of you listening to this board meeting in the comfort of your homes. Today, board members, I bring forward a resolution. As we spoke just a minute ago, this is an ever-changing, unprecedented times, and there are going to be situations in which a decision needs to be made responsibly, but quickly and effectively. And so this resolution is very similar to the resolution you all passed last spring, where we called an emergency board meeting. I want to bring your attention to the fact that during that time, there were some decisions that needed to be made. While I kept the board informed of all those decisions, I realized that we don't know how long we're going to be navigating these uncharted waters. So tonight I bring forward a similar resolution as to last year's. Last year's expired the last day of school. And so this resolution, Ms. Cortana, if you can just go up a little bit on that resolution, I want to bring your attention to a couple of things that I think are pertinent in this resolution that's different from last time. There are some things and some decisions that need to be made, and as you can tell, item number 2 there, stop there, Veronica. Item number 2 there says the authority to approve variations to the 2021 school calendar. but different than the resolution of last year. If you look at that paragraph that you can see there, it says, "In furtherance of these public purposes," which is the paragraph before the new numbers. It says, "The Board of Trustees makes the following delegations to the superintendent and designee for the fall semester of 2021 school year in concert with the Board of Trustees acting officers." And so decisions that are made within this resolution moving forward would be made in concert with the board officers. That would be our president, Eladio Jaimes, our vice president, Mrs. Jerry Fleury, and our secretary, Dr. Bobby Muniz. Realizing that if some decisions need to be made at the next board meeting, we bring it to the full board to inform you of those decisions that need to be made. We have 2 board meetings every month. And when we need, we call an emergency board meeting. But because things are moving so quickly, I want to make certain that we have the flexibility to make the decisions in the best interest of the students and staff of this district and the entire community. So I respectfully request that you consider approving the resolution as presented with those modifications where I would work with the board officers. And this resolution must be revisited at the January board meeting. So it also has an expiration date so that we can stop, look, and listen and make certain that whether we need to move forward and extend the resolution or not. So I am recommending approval as presented.
Thank you, Dr. Cavazos. Do I have a motion?
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion regarding resolution adopted on March 2020 as presented by Dr. Cavazos.
We have a motion by Dr.
I
Muniz.
think there's a requested language. Do you have that, Dr. Muniz?
Go ahead, Dr. Pettis, if you have it.
Okay, well, I'll make that motion on behalf of Dr. Muniz if that's allowed. I move that the board end the board resolution previously adopted on March 2020, and that the board delegate authority to the superintendent to act on behalf of the board regarding the COVID-19 pandemic for the 2020-2021 school year as presented. I further move that a signed copy of the resolution be attached to the minutes of this meeting.
Thank you, Dr. Pettis. Do I have a second? We have a second by Ms. Fleury. Any further discussion? If not, we'll go ahead and vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Pettis.
Thank you.
Moving on to item 7B, the approval of Texas Education Agency state-approved innovative courses for 2020-2021. Dr. Alicia Noyola.
Thank you, Mr. President, board members, Dr. Cavazos, senior administration, and audience. Tonight, we bring forward for your consideration and approval permission for our school district to offer innovative courses as outlined by the Texas Education Agency. Every year, there are courses that become available to school districts that are considered innovative courses, innovative because they fall outside of the TEKS requirements of the state. And so these courses are very specific to particular learning that students want to undertake. In your agenda there, you will see a number of the courses that are available. Several of the courses that we are either are courses that we are continuing to offer year to year, but the Texas Education Agency does require that we bring these courses for board approval prior to implementing them in the fall semester. So a number of the courses that you will find that we are looking to offer or continue offering this year are courses that align to some of our most unique programs. So you might see on that list, or you will see on that list, courses tied to our conservatory. So courses like acting methods, acting styles, movement for the actor, courses that are very specific, do not necessarily have TEKS within them, but they meet our needs in terms of programming. Also within those courses, we have courses in the areas of CTE, leadership, all courses that are really to the benefit of our students and really enhance their learning beyond the state mandated Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills. Therefore, we request approval of these courses, and administration recommends their approval.
Mr. President, I make a motion for approval of the Texas Educational Agency state-approved innovative courses for the 2021 school year as presented by administration.
Thank you, Mr. De Leon. Do I have a second? Second. Second by Mr. Powers. Do we have any further discussion? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Moving on to item 7C, the approval to submit to the TEA an application for the optional flexible school day program for the 2020-2021 school year. Dr. Neola.
So tonight we bring forward for your approval permission to submit to the Texas Education Agency an application for the optional flexible school day program. We have been implementing this program for several years. What this program does is it allows districts to provide flexible hours and days attendance for students who meet certain requirements of the Texas Education Code. The goal of the program is to improve graduation rates for students who may be in danger of dropping out of school, have dropped out, or are behind on core credits. And so what this program allows us to do is to create flexibility in the student's day so that they can maximize time in order to either get back on track or get them to graduation. This particular school year, through participation in the optional flexible school day program, we had 29 students that took part. 25 of those earned credits throughout that time. And with the flexibility afforded by this program, we had nine out of those 25 students who received a high school diploma. So we're very grateful for the opportunity to be able to provide these types of flexibility for our students and to continue doing that as we move forward. So administration recommends approval to the board on this agenda item.
Do you have a motion?
Mr. President, I move approval as presented.
Thank you, Ms. Fleury, with motion. Second by Mr. Powers. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Dr. Ola. Moving on to item 7D, consideration and approval of interlocal agreement with the City of Harlingen for the School Resource Officer Program during the 2020-2021 school year. Dr. Neola.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is another program that we continue to implement in our school district and has been of great benefit throughout the last number of years. What you have before you is the interlocal agreement with the City of Harlingen for our School Resource Officer Program. This program allows us to provide a law enforcement presence at our two comprehensive high schools, at our Cano Freshman Academy, as well as at our middle schools. This year, we undertook bringing in some of our law enforcement personnel to provide that law enforcement presence at our middle schools on a rotating basis, and got a lot of positive feedback from our campus administration. Our partnership with the City of Harlingen continues to increase, and so we certainly the addition of Danny Castillo to our school district has served to strengthen that partnership. And so we are coming forward with a recommendation to approve the interlocal agreement with the City of Harlingen.
What is the pleasure of the board?
Mr. President, I'd like to move approval of the interlocal agreement with the City of Harlingen for the School Resource Officer Program during the 2020-2021 school year.
We have a motion by Dr. Reininger,
Second the motion.
second by Dr. Muniz. Any further discussion? Okay, we'll vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Moving on to item number 8, matters relating to human services. And we'll look at approval of recommended revisions to local policy EIC on second reading. Dr. Noyola.
Thank you, Mr. President. This evening, we bring forward recommended revisions to local policy EIC on second reading. This policy was brought forward at our policy committee, requesting adjustment to policy EIC. EIC addresses all of our class rank and grade point averaging policies. The recommended revisions are connected to changes that are happening at the College Board level. College Board is the organization that oversees all of our AP, pre-AP programming. As we had shared previously, they are undergoing streamlining of their pre-AP programming, really being intentional about what pre-AP classes should look like. And along those lines, they are also removing the pre-AP label from a number of courses that were previously offered with that title. And so consequently, within our local policy EIC, all of those courses are currently listed. Some of those courses that originally had that pre-AP label will no longer have it. Consequently, we were needing to make adjustments to that policy. The other change that we did within this policy had to do with just how we organize all of our those courses. One of the things that policy EIC is, it's a living document. It has to continuously be maintained. Any changes have to stay within the policy, so that if we have students that have graduated in previous years, they can always go to the policy and be able to identify what were those courses and policies that were in place at the time that they were in school. And so we reorganized the formatting so that we are better able to track those changes over time. Based on that, administration recommends approval of the revisions to local policy EIC.
Thank you, Dr. Nala. Do I have a motion?
Mr. President, I move approval of the approved second reading as presented.
Thank you, Ms. Fleury.
Second the motion.
Second, Dr. Pettis, I believe. Any further discussion? If
I'd
not,
just like to comment that this has been thoroughly discussed and reviewed several times, and so we're moving forward with an understanding, I believe, that is complete in regard to the discussion.
thank you, Ms. Fleury. All right, we'll go ahead and vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion passes. Thank you very much. Moving on to item number 9, matters relating to business services. Item 9A, consideration for approval to award renewal of student athletic UIL activities. Sorry for the tongue twist. Catastrophic and student voluntary accident coverage for 2020-2021 school year RFP number STIN 0620. Mr. Julio Cavazos.
Thank you, Mr. Hymas, Dr. Costos, board members. Agenda item number 9A is consideration and approval of student athletic insurance for 2021. Let me share this recap with you. We did go out for proposals and we received 4. Alamo Insurance is the incumbent and we're recommending them again for this year. There's a slight increase from last year, about $20,000. They bid according to what we specified. We did get 2 other ones from Texas Insurance. They had an alternate plan with less benefits for $209,000, a little bit less, but we're recommending to continue with Alamo Group with the same benefits that we had this year. I'd be glad to answer any questions that board members might have.
Mr. President, I move for approval.
Mr. President, make a motion for approval as recommended by administration.
Sorry, Mr. Leon, we had a motion by Mr. Powers to approve. If you want to second.
I'll be behind Greg. I'll second it.
Thank you. We have a second, a motion by Mr. Greg Powers and a second by Mr. Javier De Leon. Any further discussion on this item? If not, we'll go ahead and vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Item number 10, matters relating to district operations. And we have a facilities committee, I can't talk today for some reason. Facilities committee report by Mr. Oscar Tapia.
Thank you, Board President Jaimes, members of the board, and Dr. Cavazos and colleagues. A quick report on the facilities committee meeting that we held on July 7th. I gave an update on the Treasure Hills Elementary's phase 1 and 2. Phase 1 is nearly complete. They did the new VCT flooring. It's been waxed and sealed, and we're starting to move a lot of the teachers' belongings over to the new wing. And our fixed asset warehouse department is delivering furniture from the Vertec warehouse to the new facility. The landscaping's complete, the grass is growing, the plants, trees, it's all looking very nice. So we're just working on a few punch list items and we'll be close to closing that project out. On the Treasure Hills Phase 2, the contractor finally obtained the permit, so demolition has started of the old wing. So we'll give an update at the next meeting. On the World Language Academy, the Phase 2, we're nearly complete. The only thing pending is the replacement of that tree that died, and all the electrical and sprinkler system work that goes with it. Other than that, the project's done. The Phase 3 has the contractors, I believe, just getting the permit today, so they'll be starting work later this week. Golf Skill Station, the company finally delivered the large netting that we needed for the driving range section, and it's been installed, so that project is also complete. Gave an update on the Early College High School UTRGV campus. They have started clearing the site. They've dug out the foundation pad, and they're starting already to put in new lifts to build the elevation back up to ground level with the appropriate select soil. The Transition Academy is being rebid. Bids come in on July 21st, and we'll be targeting the August 11th board meeting for award. The Gutierrez Fine Arts Academy project was awarded to contractor, and they're also waiting for a permit to start on the new wall inside of the dining hall, dance floor in one of the rooms, and some window work on the new robotics lab. The marquees, I reported the company had closed down again due to a concern with an employee with this pandemic, but they opened up a couple of days ago, so they're back to working. And we'll be finishing up those marquees pretty soon so we can start erecting them. Khan Academy and STEM Academy portables have been delivered to the site, being set up by Palomar Moving Company. And then our maintenance staff will finish up connecting all these specialty wirings and systems that are required. And Julio Cavazos closed out the meeting by giving an update on the construction financial report for TRE fund expenditures. So I'll turn it over to Mr. Greg Powers, who is our facilities chair, for any additional comments or questions.
I just want to comment that, Oscar, you and your department, like everyone else, are just working triple overtime to get everything ready for our campuses and the safety of our kids and our teachers. But I just I'd like for you to comment, since I think a lot of people are watching this evening, it's some of the things that we're doing whenever the campuses do reopen, the water fountains and the ventilation systems and stuff like that. If you could just comment generally on that, because y'all are going to quite extensive means and work to implement these items.
Sure, Mr. Powers. What we're doing is we have purchased several hundred water fountains to add additional washing stations at all the schools. And they finally came in earlier this week, and we're starting to install them already at 2 elementaries. We've already installed several. We're doing that in-house with our staff. And we've also ordered some touchless water fountains so that the kids don't have to drink out of those bubblers on those older type water fountains. Those are not projected to come until the 28th of July, but once they come in, we'll work diligently in-house, and if we need some outside contractor help, we'll certainly do that to start installing those before the kids return. On the air conditioning systems, we're instead of every 3-4 weeks changing out the filter systems, we're going to be changing them out every 2 to 3 weeks, depending on the size of the type of campus we have and the type of units. And we'll be spraying it's a specialized disinfectant spray that you put on filters, so that as air passes through it, it kills any bacterial or contaminants. We're also spraying the coils for the air conditioning system, so as the air blows through. Also, we have some different disinfectant type product on those coils to, again, reduce the bacteria and contaminants in the air. And a lot of our units have our fresh air ventilation that is mixed in from the outside, and it's recooled and then thrown out, and new fresh air pumped in. So we're going to continue looking at other ways that we can improve the air quality for our schools. So we're doing a lot of work. We're also working on some nurse stations to create some isolation areas for any student who may need to be separated from the rest of the kids. We're working at Harlingen High School right now, Jefferson Elementary, Austin Elementary, and we'll probably do Lamar after that. So we're making quite a bit of progress. We've ordered some plexiglass to create some shields for the entry counters for the receptionists, where we'll probably have heavy traffic, and most of the people, parents and visitors, will be at that area. So we're trying to put up some additional barriers and protection for our employees. So just some of the things that we're doing, along with many other little renovation and work orders that we're doing through our maintenance and construction areas.
Thank you, Oscar. Like you said, there's a lot of other things that are in progress that we don't have time tonight, but just to reinforce what we've talked about tonight, that the safety is going to be our top concern for the health of our teachers and our students. So thank you very much for all you guys are doing.
Thank you, Mr. Tapia, and please thank everybody for the work they're doing as we prepare for this, whatever it's going to look like. Finally, moving on to item number 11, adjournment to close our executive session pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.071, 551.072, 551.074, and 551.082, the Open Meetings Act, for the following purposes: discussion of purchase of real estate, Lot 1, re-subdivision of Owens Hooker subdivision, Cameron County, Texas, 1301 Oklahoma Street, Harlingen, and discussion of employment of teachers, discuss employment of teachers and other professional staff. We are now into executive session. Thank you. And
We're still live, and she's going to give us a signal in a minute.
discuss here.
Oh, my gosh. We're ready. Mr. Hymas.
Okay, we are now reconvened into open session for action on matters discussed in executive session. Item A, consideration and take action on resolution for the purchase of real estate. Do I have a motion?
I move that we go forward with the staff's recommendation on purchasing the property we discussed.
And we have a second, was it Dr. Muniz?
Hymas. It was Mr.
A second from Mr. Javier De Leon. Any further discussion? Now we'll vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Next, we'll look at consider employment of teachers and other professional staff.
Mr. President, I move that we approve the personnel that were recommended by staff in executive session.
Second the motion.
I have a motion by Mr. Powers, second by Ms. Fleury. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. With that, this meeting is adjourned. Have a good night.
Hold on, guys.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Wait till we click off.